Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mumra, the ever-living! I'm Eddie Webb.
And I'm Chris Pivey.
And today we're going to talk about Thundercats. Hello and welcome to Genreless, where we talk about a show that I have not watched in 30 years, which is basically most of our podcast.
Well, that's a good way to start, though. That means you have fresh eyes now to go and look at it, not the eyes of a newborn, a wee lad. Now you have experience, Eddie.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because like with Silverhawks, I was so excited about it. It's like I haven't seen this since I was a kid, and I remember loving it so much, and I watched it, and we kind of had a reaction to it. It's like that's not as good as I remember it, but I have very little memory of Thundercats. It was a show that was on, and I remember watching it a few times, going, "That seems okay," but it never made a strong impression on me. And so yeah, I get to watch it with relatively fresh eyes, and also with I'm glad we did Silverhawks first because then we kind of could see we're stepping back with Rankin and Bass, but this is one of their more well-known collaborations. So we can kind of dig more into the Rankin and Bass collaboration, and just it's a wild time because it's also one of the shows that are very explicitly, much like Mask, let's take what another company's doing and do our own version of that thing.
Well, I know they were taking a step back for Rankin and Bass. From my experience with them, it's almost as if some of their best work, though, was for earlier on, I guess, in their careers, from like that 70s to maybe mid 80s, and then it started to having diminishing returns.
To be honest, yeah. And really, Thundercats is probably their high point, in a lot of ways.
It doesn't compare, Eddie, to The Greatest Adventure. Hands down, nothing will ever compare to The Greatest Adventure.
I feel like we've reached the point in the podcast where you've referenced The Hobbit so many times that we almost can never cover it because it'll just build up so much expectation. They'll watch it and be like, I'll be like, yeah, it was okay, I guess.
It'll just be me singing the songs that I think it's Dan Yarbrough sung for about an hour and a half. That'd be it.
Right, and I'll just walk away and make lunch and while you're doing that.
I won't even notice you're gone.
Exactly. It'd be so. I'll just put a picture of myself in front of the screen because that's how you get past age verification in the UK. But I'm not here to talk about that.
Are you?
Yes. There are some sites where you can literally show a picture of somebody else. Some people have been using pictures of MPs to get past age verification in the UK.
Oh, I have so many like thoughts about age verifications. Oh no, we're not doing it. We're here to talk about Thundercats.
Yes.
And do you know that now we're getting to the point where these are places I actually had toys of some of these actual cartoons that we're covering.
Yes. Were the Thundercat toys any good?
They were sturdy as fuck.
Really?
Like I had Lion-O and I had Panthro were the two that I had. I think I had Panthro. I know I had Lion-O because I had like the Sword of Omens was something that they kept popping up when I was a kid. I'd lose it, then I'd find it again, then I'd lose it, and I'd find
it. Well, I think it's appropriate, all considered. Which is not a surprise. The Thundercats toys and the people who were the impetus behind the show were LJN, which is a company that has fallen to the dustbin of capitalism. But previously, they were the main company who had the WWF license, and so they made a lot of those toys in the peak Hulkamania era. And so they were used to making extremely sturdy toys that you slam into each other because that's what the wrestling toys were made for. So it's not surprised that the Thundercat toys were also equally sturdy, unlike, let's say, I don't know, G.I. Joe as a random example. I'm still mad that my Snake Eyes lost his arm.
They were sturdy, but they didn't have any of the like that extra spring I think they put in the G.I. Joes to make them flexible and movable, like the legs moved as a solid leg stick. And Lion-O's head had like that mane of hair that goes over to one side, and it was just hard plastic. You could have put someone's eye out with if you slammed it in their face.
I love it. I love it.
but it was a big muscle toy. That was
Right.
awesome.
Exactly. And so you have like a shoulder swivel, and then your leg moves back and forth. That's basically, if you're lucky, you get maybe the waist moves, maybe, but that's
I
basically
can't remember,
it.
but I know the arms would go up and down. You
Right.
can move those.
Nice. Nice. But yeah, so LJN basically wanted to get in on the He-Man action, as I understand it, and so that's where kind of the Thundercats derived from.
Hey, Eddie. Hey, Eddie.
Yeah.
What's He-Man?
So that's an interesting point because, like, on the one hand, I feel like you shouldn't have to explain He-Man because it's been rebooted 3 times, 4 times at this point,
Not well.
and and there's been 2 Netflix reboots alone, right?
Not well.
Um, well, one of them had Mark Hamill playing the Joker with a skull on his face, and the other also exists. So, you know.
Eddie, an actor can only elevate material so much. It's still on the material to itself to be good.
Right. Um, I have a couple of friends who are both really into He-Man and Masters of the Universe, which is a franchise that's been around since '82. One of the first uh, toy leading the franchise cartoons. Um, uh, but it was a science fantasy show in the sense that it was a fantasy show that had some scientific stuff because you had to also sell cool vehicles, which tells you a lot about Thundercats because it's also basically a fantasy show that also has cool vehicles, which is fascinating because in my head, and I made this mistake, we talked about Silverhawks. In my head, it was Thundercats is the fantasy show, Silverhawks is a science fiction show. And having watched them both now, I realized no, they're both slightly different versions of science fantasy. And they're not.
Yeah.
The only real difference is one of them's in space and one of them's on Third Earth. And that's basically the big difference between them from a genre perspective.
Like Silverhawk is essentially space opera.
Right, right. But they both have magic. They
With
both have cool vehicles. They both have guns. You know,
Silverhawk's a space opera with a noir sheen to it.
hmm right. And so it is. It is frustrating that I love space opera with a noir sheen, and yet Thundercats is. I was like, oh, that's a show that did good. And I don't like it because it doesn't do the things I want. But I have to admit, it's doing a lot of things really well. It had 4 seasons.
Yeah,
Covering
well,
130 episodes.
Thundercats voice actors also seem more engaged than what the Silverhawk voice actors did,
Right.
which
Even though
goes
the
a
first
long
season they had
way.
right, the first season they still only had 6 actors because it's the same studio, right? But you could certainly feel like those 6 actors probably had done 2 or 3 seasons of Thundercats by this point in time, and then had just Silverhawks, and it's just like, oh Christ, you know? Yeah, I mean, you can definitely feel it's like you said before, I'll do Mumra, but more shrill, I guess. Cool, that's Monstar. Great, let's go. Um, but this one, yeah, I agree with you. That feels like no, we're excited about this. We're engaged with this and doing a cool thing.
Because I'm not going to lie, watching these, I had all these things I could pick apart, but from how much fun it sounded like the voice actors were having, the analytical part of my brain said, "All right, let's just go with the ride. Let's go with the vibes." More so than did with Silverhawks.
Right. Because because I'm with you. I have lots of nitpicky things, but they don't stand out as much. Um, the other thing I noticed on watching this is that there were more interesting characters in Thunderhawks, right? Um, and
Thunderhawks
sorry, Thunderhawks, yeah,
trademark.
Thundercats, yeah, Thunderhawks. There we go. The
That
crossover we all wanted.
that's the show we're making. It's going to be the descendants of the Silverhawks and the Thundercats getting together making kids.
There we go. Yeah. Um, like Snarf is up there with Orko from He-Man, Masters of the Universe, which is the annoying magician character in Masters of the Universe. Before Chris asks me to explain this, as being 2 of the more iconically annoying psychic characters, and yet maybe it's the 4 episodes I chose, but Snarf is not nearly as annoying as I remember him being.
Well, if I remember right, there are entire episodes that are just Snarf episodes. Those would have shown us how annoying Snarf
Fair.
can be because it's focused on that character.
But man, T-Bob is still real fresh in my brain. So
there's there's only one character I can think of in animation that is, for me, that is more annoying than T-Bob,
who's that?
and that's, I think her name was Penny from Robotech: The Next Generation.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. That is peak. Why is this kid in this war?
But Snarf, I was not bothered by Snarf at all watching it.
Yeah, same. I was like, oh, okay. And I think it helps because we actually watched the 2-part pilot. Um, and we'll get into the episodes in a minute. But like one of the things that uh, this does not only way better than Silverhawks, but also way better than a lot of the other contemporary shows is that there's gentle continuity between episodes, but each episode does stand on its own. It's not the 5-part movie of GoBots. It's not the let's put all of our exposition dump into one first episode like Silverhawks. It's more of the each episode they try to get it to more or less stand on its own. But then it's the episode 2 flows from episode 1, and then over time it becomes more episodic. But at least at the start, it's the let's have mild serialization, which is actually quite nice.
Before we get into it, I'm really curious. So, do you know why these episodes don't have the more you know Yojo moment?
Uh, so as I understand it, this was around the time where that had just legislation either just came out or it was just starting to happen. No, I take it back. No, because He-Man did it more explicitly, and maybe that was it. Maybe it was they wanted to differentiate themselves from He-Man, because they do. If you watch them, pilot aside, but the other 3 episodes, the last act is about 2 minutes long, and it does more or less recap the morals of the story, with one extremely weird exception, which I will point out. Um, so I think the idea is it's meant to be more organic. It's
Hmm.
not the hard cut. It's not the explicit. Let's tack this onto any episode like GI Joe did. It
Yeah.
is not the heavily lampshaded version that shows like He-Man did. It's meant to be the whole episode's kind of pointing towards this, and so we're going to spend a moment to actually slightly dig into that. So I think that was the intent because it's still there. If you look for it, if you look at the structure, you can still see okay, the last commercial break goes into the thing, and 2 minutes, and it's largely going to talk about the moral of the story.
Yeah, but I
Um,
mean, like, for instance, for Silverhawks, they did a hard cut to kids sitting
right.
in like little bird learning to fly and teaching science facts. And G.I. Joe would go at the very end, the more you know. Moo, 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 moo.
Right.
Yojo.
I think part of the issue is, and this is me guessing, reading between the lines. I know that for GI Joe, all of those were developed complete isolation from the other scripts and were produced by a separate, even animation studio, or at least chunk of the animation studio, so that they could produce those and just okay, we have the latest one in, tack it on the latest episode, and let's go. Same with the Silverhawks facts. I would guess it's you could have someone go, cool, do the next 20 of those and then just when they come in, just slap them on an episode and move ahead. Whereas with these, because they're integrated in, it's okay. That means we have to get initial 2 minutes of voice acting, initial 2 minutes of animation. It has to sync up with the thing. So if you've done 130 episodes of that, they may be like, I don't want to have every episode point towards a moral. So can we get out of this? It's like, well, legally we have to have something here. So let's just when we do the next show, let's not paint ourselves into that corner and just do
Okay,
blah. That's my guess.
cool.
That's my guess.
Nice.
Because certainly one of these episodes shows that they're getting a little tired of the format. The only other thing I had was I just want to mention that there are 2 reboots of this, which I bring up partially because uh, how they relate to Rankin and Bass specifically. This is the last time we'll talk about them in this run. They
You. That's the
well,
last time we have anything scripted written down, like show flow wise. We may discuss them, but
okay,
who
yes, but like in terms
knows?
in terms of Rankin Bass cartoons that we're projecting to come out to. Actually, I don't know this. Well, never mind. I was about to ask a question and realized I would tell you what the upcoming episode is. So we'll just find out as we go along.
I'm just saying it's a bold statement to make, Eddie.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I could be wrong. Then let me rephrase by saying Rankin and Bass collaborated on both of the reboots, so it's worth talking about it here. And so they both worked together on the 2011 series, which apparently is pretty critically received. Apparently, for a reboot, it's done quite well. It only got one season, I believe.
Is that
But
the more serious version? Because I know
yes,
there's one
yes,
that was really serious, and there was one that was like a chibi version.
right, and that's the 2020 version called Thundercats Roar, which sadly only Bass worked on because Rankin passed away in 2014, and then Thundercats Roar was Bass's last work because he passed away 2 years later. So, in a sad way, every reboot of Thundercats was a landmark of Rankin and Bass. So, like the one of those one was the last time they worked together, and then 2020 was the last time Bass worked on any project. So Thundercats is indelibly connected to the two of them as creatives.
What did you think of the rebooted series?
I have not seen it. I've only just looked it up online because when I see there's more than one reboot, I try to at least look into, rank the series and read a few different threads about them or websites about them. Screen Rant does a lot of those, for example. And generally, everyone pretty much pans Thundercats Roar. But generally, the original and the 2011 series tend to flip flop for best.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, like you said, yeah, the 2011 series is a bit more serialized, a bit more serious, not quite as goofy. Um, uh, but I have not watched any of it, and I may actually after doing this because tipping my hand a bit, I actually quite liked Thundercats, so I may want to watch more of this and or the 2011 reboot. I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay, cool. I will only say that I did not like the one episode of Thundercats Roar that I saw.
That seems to be the prevailing opinion because it was very much trying to go after the Teen Titans Go energy, and frankly, no Teen Titans Go successor has done as well as Teen Titans Go. It was a lightning in a bottle thing.
And I will tip my hand on that. I am not a fan of Teen Titans Go either. I like the Teen Titans, TENTINTS Titans.
Right.
Like the one from 2005, I think.
Yeah. I will say, one that's kind of a sidestep from Teen Titans Go is one of the people who was the one of the art directors on Teen Titans Go also to do a Transformers show. But they specifically did not do it to emulate Teen Titans Go. They just tried the animation style.
Yeah.
And it is very jarring. It's called Transformers Animated. It's a very jarring experience if you watch big chunky robots previously, but it's actually quite a good show because a lot of people worked on it were huge Transformers fans, and so it has a bit of the best analogy I can think of is like Star Trek Lower Decks in terms of
Okay.
people who are super fans of it, fans of deep cuts. So it's a bit funny, it's a bit sitcom-y, but also because they love it so much, they also make sure there's a nice strong thread of drama through it.
Nice.
But that's not quite the same as what Teen Titans Go is, which is a 15-minute cartoon of doing stupid shit.
Yeah. And I'm a grizzled old man. That doesn't work for me.
Right. Right. Give us a plot.
Yeah.
Speaking
It's
of
a
plot,
constant debate I have with my daughter about what she wants to watch versus what I want her to watch.
right? Because you wanted to have a story with a plot and structure, and she's like, "But stupid shit."
Yeah. It's like, ah, ah, get
So,
off my lawn.
any more old man opinions on Thundercats before we dive into the episodes?
Uh, nah. I'll save them for when we actually start.
Okay. Season 1, Episode 1, Exodus. When their home planet Thundera explodes, the Thunderians flee to a distant galaxy. Before they can make the long journey, the mutants sweep in and destroy most of the fleet in an attempt to capture the Eye of Thundera, and a battle ensues. The ship eventually crashes on a blue planet circling a distant sun, and Lion-O discovers that he's grown during the intervening years. So that explanation is very kind of perfunctory, but actually like I said before, this episode actually does have a beginning, middle, and end. It's not a huge plot arc, but it's the will we escape from the mutants? Okay, we finally escaped and landed on a planet. We're now on what they will eventually learn is called Third Earth. They haven't quite learned it yet. But everyone is super naked for the first half of this episode.
You say they're naked, Eddie. I can't tell because eventually they get the equivalent of clothes, but Lion-O's like stuff their clothing just can like attach weapons to them anywhere on their body, it seems. So I don't get it. So maybe they're naked.
Well, I mean, they are cat people, so they're covered in fur, which is, I believe, is the intention. But the way they draw the lines separating different parts of the body is where the clothes would go. So it kind of just draws more attention to the fact that they're not wearing clothes. And so it's just, it was awkward.
So Jaga's the leader
Right.
at the start. We
Yes.
assume. And Jaga's an aged kitty cat of some kind and has clothes.
Right.
Why would Jaga not give his nobles clothes beforehand?
Because apparently the clothes give you protective abilities, which is very chainmail bikini logic, you know, of like, because I don't know how Pantheros 2 straps with spikes on them are going to give him a ton of protection.
Oh, so watching this initial pilot episode was a little rough. I was a little sketchy right when we started. It's like, ooh, maybe this wasn't the best idea.
But there's some interesting moments, like watching the episodes. Like, yeah, we're trying to escape from a planet of Thunder. And it's like, okay, cool, and the mutants just show up, and then the planet fucking explodes. And I'm like 2 minutes in, and like the whole planet just exploded. I'm like, okay, wow, we are starting with some heavy stakes.
And how many of them actually? So we get the mutant attacks, and how many of them actually survive? Because it looks like they're showing. If I was a kid, a young 10-year-old Chris sitting down to watch Thundercats, I have just witnessed a genocide.
Right. And that's heavily implied because there's a throwaway line saying that the mutants destroyed the fleet. And because and Lion-O's and Jaga's ship is one of the fleet. So I assume that was intentional to be like, we have an undisclosed number of potential survivors that we can use as plot devices later, which I know at least one of them does show up. But yeah, it is like, so the mutants just destroyed your planet and murdered pretty much everyone.
And then I'm using some future knowledge. I know that a couple other people show up. Does that infer that each ship only had about 5 to 8 Thundercats on it?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, are there like massive like ships of like millions of people on them? This is the problem with the pilot. I mean, it's like it's first of all way better than the Silverhawks pilot. To be clear, it's a actual genuine pilot, but it does raise more questions that it probably doesn't want to raise.
Yeah,
and that's one of them. Is like, so yes, their home planet exploded. That's hard, but also like I've never seen it, so why do I care on some level, right? I've seen literally 5 people from this planet. So how big is this planet?
well, because you said it's better than Silverhawks. That's because it starts with our protagonist, and that's who we're supposed to follow. Versus Silverhawks, that started with our antagonist,
Right.
who then is our antagonist, the lead of that show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, God, if they started with them, small Silverhawks. And to the show's credit, like they actually don't combine the antagonist cast completely in this first episode. The mutants are presented like they're going to be the main antagonist, but then it's not quite true, as we'll see in the next episode. But like, so one of the conceits is that to get to the galaxy they're trying to shoot for, they will not do it in their lifetimes. So they have to go into suspension capsules. And so Jaga's like, I'm old, so fuck it, I'll pilot the ship. No, don't do it, Jaga. And it's like, no, I'll totally do it.
You're missing out the part when so we have the mutants attack. The mutants actually board their ship, and we get to see Lion-O and the Sword of Omens. Like that whole thing, like building up how powerful the sword is, how important it is, how epic it is, and how it grants him super strength to raise it to scare off the mutants.
Right. But also, and to be clear, it's not clear from the explanation. He's a kid. He's a teenager. So he's inexperienced and kind of a shit, honestly.
They call him
Um,
tweens, Eddie. He's not even a teenager.
Tweens, yeah, sure. Um, and there's a throwaway line by Jagger of like, "There'll be some aging when you go into the capsule." And so when Lionel comes out, actually, we're not quite there yet. He'll be an adult. Um, Actually, no, I take it back. He steps out of the capsule, finds out he's an adult. That's like the end of this episode. Um, but like, it does raise questions like, why did Wily Cat and Wily Kit not also get older?
Didn't they say though in the episode like his capsule was broken or impacted somehow? I
Maybe that
think
may
they
be it.
said maybe I'm adding that in to like help out the plot though mentally, but I could
Maybe.
have sworn they said that.
I mean, it could be. I guess also when it breaks, it makes you muscular and buff. You know, that's good to know. I want to get the capsule. So.
Worked for Steve Rogers. My
Fight a
question
race.
though is so they allude it's going to take a lifetimes to get to this planet,
Right.
but that's not true. It takes about 10 years to get to the planet, right?
It takes,
Because
according to the next episode, 10 galacto years.
because otherwise, Slide and the mutants should have died because they literally just followed them the whole
Right.
way here. The time, like
Right. It's a setup for an interesting conceit, which is that Lino is physically an adult, but is mentally a teenager, and so he has to grow up, but we still have a cool adult action figure to go with. And that's actually an interesting concept. And they play with that a bit in some of the episodes that follow. Is that he is an inexperienced leader who's trying to figure things out. But the problem is that they didn't think through the conceit, and so there's lots of stuff around the edges of that conceit that don't make a ton of sense whatsoever at all. So yeah, it's like the mutants don't go in suspension. I mean, they might have, but we never see it. Maybe the mutants don't age the same way, but none of this is explained. It's just they land and they're everyone is exactly the way as they were, except for Lion-O, and Yaga is dead.
and the thing then becomes even if you age a little bit, it's only 10 years. If Wily Kit and Wily Cat have not aged at all,
Right,
then Jaga should not have aged at all.
right, exactly.
But who wants to fool around like an old wizened cat leader when you can have a young buff Lion-O as your leader?
Right, and also like, can let's have cool wizened cat ghost. That's much more cooler than just following an older guy. But if he's a ghost, that's exciting.
And yes, in case anyone's curious, I know that someone saw Star Wars was like, what if Luke was muscular and could actually kick ass versus whining about being not being able to kick ass?
Oh no, totally. There, as much as this is evoking the vibes of He-Man Masters Universe, it's also there's very clear Star Wars parallels here. Yeah. You see, there's a magical sword. Those magical sword things. There's a young kid who's also an adult. He's got a master who's older and is also a ghost. He has magical powers. It's there's a lot of Star Wars vibes about this whole thing too.
And Mumra is essentially Darth Vader out of armor and Darth Vader in armor.
Yeah, that's a good point. I thought about that.
Yeah, it's like all right there for you.
Right. And so the other thing is like Snarf is positioned as someone's supposed to take care of Lion-O. And so he's the annoying adult that makes you sit down and eat your vegetables and make sure you come inside a reasonable hour. He's very much meant to be the adult that doesn't want you to have any fun. And so in this first episode, he's super annoying. And so I actually have noticed like going, yep, Snarf is exactly as I thought he is. That opinion will change in future episodes because there's a couple times where I'm like, I'm actually with Snarf on this, and that's a weird place to be. But it sets up the interesting dynamic, which is that the rest of Thundercats are ultimately slightly older adults with slightly more experience in their own specialized ways. But Lion-O is going to be the young, powerful, charismatic leader that pulls them through, but is going to occasionally make mistakes.
Yeah, it's a good starting premise with a few questions about it,
Yeah,
but on the whole, it
Lionel's
works.
way better than Quicksilver in terms of as a lead protagonist.
Even the Kid Lion is better than Quicksilver as a lead.
Yeah, right, exactly. Is there anything else about Exodus?
I have to do it. Why? Why is Panthro the only person that looks different? Couldn't there have been like someone else that also was? I let go of that. We know
Are you
that
saying the fact
we
that
know that
Panthro
Panthro
is?
is their. Go ahead.
I was like the fact that Panthro is purple and everyone else is some color of orange.
Yes, we know that Panther is their black friend. Do
Right.
even if you look at the voice actors, you know Panther is their black friend.
Right. That said, I have more Panthro comments in future episodes because Panthro is just kind of there in this episode, to be honest. But he gets more interesting vibes in the next episode.
And in case anyone's curious, the voice actor for Panthro is going to be the grandfather on the Cosby Show from back in the day. That's who that
Mm,
actor is.
yeah, not Theo. I don't remember. It's one of the Huxtables. Yeah. Anyway, so season 1, episode 2, the Unholy Alliance. While exploring Third Earth, the mutant ship is brought down by the mysterious Black Pyramid. This proves to be the home of Mum-Ra, who is willing to form an alliance. After both the Thundercats ship is wrecked and the mutant ship sinks into the swamp, the stranded forces fight over the Eye of Thundera as Mum-Ra reveals his true power. And this is where I love Panthro, because so the ship crashes, and they fast forward to get out of the things. They look around a little bit, and so I think it's uh, Chitara is like, how is this? And Panthro's like, this ship is a piece of junk. Everything's ruined. We're never getting off this planet. And then immediately hard cuts to, but otherwise we're okay. And I just love it. I
And
just love the vibe of like he could just be so mad about something and then just not be like a second later.
that's him thinking through what they do, because then he talks about building the Thunder Tank,
Right. Right.
which is the
It's the
best
arch
toy. Like, oh,
because didn't like the Thundertech have like things that like when you pushed when you moved it and the wheels moved, like things bounced around the sides on it. Yeah.
yes.
Oh god, it was so good.
And even in the show, the Thunder Tank's awesome because it does things like climb up mountains with those claws. It
Yeah.
goes, "Doo, doo."
I had forgotten that. You're right, it does. That's awesome. And like
Oh, I
Panthro,
loved it.
but Panthro is like the ultimate pragmatist of the group, right? Everybody else has like, moral quandaries or opinions on stuff, and Panthro is just like, I'm furious that our ship is wrecked. Okay, got that out of my system. I'm gonna build a cool fucking tank out of the wreckage. And it's just like, what? Like no time wasted. Just like I'm there. I'm in it.
And this also gives like a quick glimpse of them as a group, because you have Panther who tries to get Lion-O to help him do the work. And you
Right.
have Tigra who's like, no, you should be able to go wander around and do whatever the fuck you want because you're the leader. And Chitara's, are you sure we should let
Right.
him go off by himself? So you have that dynamic from the three adult characters. And that doesn't take into account Wily Kit and Wily Cat are snarf, snarf.
Right. And like this is the episode where like I started to have weird opinions about Snarf in terms of like, why am I agreeing with Snarf? Because like Snarf is saying things like, you just got out of cryostasis. Don't go wandering off by yourself. You've been this hunky adult for like 20 fucking minutes. Maybe figure shit out. And Lionel kind of treats him like shit. Is like, no, fuck you, Snarf. I'm gonna go do whatever I want. And it's just like, I'm kind of with Snarf here on this. It's like, maybe stay and help your friends instead of just tearing off with your sword. You just, and I'm gonna go explore stuff and leave Panther to do all the fucking work. And it's just like, you're being kind of a dick, Lionel.
But yeah, that's a 13-year-old kid.
Right,
As
exactly.
someone that
It's
has a kid that's around that age, yeah, that's a kid.
yeah, and that's what I mean. I'm saying these things because I actually really dig it. Is like Lionel is already more complicated than I expected, and Snarf has a very valid role. Again, I said jokingly last episode he's the annoying adult voice, but like turns out someone needs to be in this group. And so like Snarf has an actual you mentioned the dynamic, Snarf has another role here. He's a coward and he's not gonna fight anybody. And that's fine. But like he's also gonna be like the maybe you should stay here. Maybe you should be safe. There's a
But
voice of it's not reason, but there's a voice of security.
we know that's well, Snarf did try to protect Lion-O, and even in the first episode, it was
Oh yeah, it's true.
pointless.
It's true.
And we have Snarf will show like great displays of courage if it involves protecting Lion-O from something.
Right. Yeah. And so like he's um Jaga is the wise father figure that will teach you about things and help you come into yourself. Snarf is in some ways the mother figure, right? It's the maternal instinct. I will protect you. I will nurture you. I will s- stop you from doing stupid stuff, but I will take care of you when you're hurt, right? So Snarf and Yaga are kind of Lionel's parents in that regard.
Yeah,
Whereas all of the Thundercats are his slightly older friends that have different opinions and maybe get him into trouble occasionally.
their aunts and uncles is who the other characters are,
Mm, good. That's a good analogy. Yeah.
and like Wily Kit and Wily Cat are younger cousins.
Right. Yeah.
So
No,
that's
totally.
sort of like
Now
your
that you said
family
that makes sense.
dynamic.
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense when you explain it that way. Yeah.
Because that's why
And
you get the fact that when Tiger was willing to let him go, Tiger is a person that gives him the sort of omen and like that shield.
right.
Like, no, you should go off, but you should be protected.
Right.
And Lion was
And
like, oh
Panther's like,
yeah.
don't care building a tank.
Well, Panther's like, don't let him go. Let's teach him the value of work.
Well, right. Yeah. Right. But once it's agreed to, he's just like, okay, cool, but I'm going to build this tank. Seriously.
Yeah.
And Chitara's
And
like,
then
maybe I should keep an eye on him. It's like, no, we need you here. It's like, all right, fine, I guess.
and then the fortress is gonna come up. Oh, that
Yes.
fortress. Back in the old days when they built like the big castles and everything else, like the He-Man Castle of Power, whatever it was, and like their Thunder Palace. Oh,
Right.
beautiful.
So sadly, the episode shows we don't get to see a ton of Cat's Lair. They're going to build that apparently in the future episodes. So that's the big Thundercat base. But yeah, no, we do see Mumra's citadel, as it were, as the mutants crash their ship and sink into the swamp. So of course it's there. It's dark and there's lightning because of course it's evil and you have to have that. But like, yeah, it looks super cool. And then they stumble across Mumra, who's just kind of this wizened old mummy dude in a cloak that basically is just every possible D&D stereotype of evil guy, all crammed into one character. And so like and Mumra's just like, yeah, hey, this is Third Earth, and I totally know about the Thundercats. I know about the Eye of Thundera, and the mutants are like, how? And Mumra's like, whatever, reasons. Let's work together. And it's like, okay, I do want to kill Lion-O, but I'm suspicious of you. And so we have an interesting villain dynamic of the mutants are not just straight up the minions of Mumra. They're trying to dance around each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Sly thinks he's kind of the leader of the mutants. But also Mumra's like, but seriously, I will own you. I don't want to because I have better things to do, like sit in my crypt. But if I need to school you, I will.
Well, this also has part of the. I'm going to make this a new R bit. This has part of like the Nero Wolf dynamic to it too, because Nero Wolf
Yeah.
is like a detective genius, but at the time they wrote him to be obese, is how Rex Stout wrote him. So he likes to sit in his chair. Then he has Archie, who is his another detective, but that's his leg man who runs around doing all of his work outside to come back to tell him stuff. So
Right.
Mumra has very much that vibe of I'd rather sit here in my magic castle, because even infers that there's a price he has to pay to become Mumra
Right.
versus Mumra.
Right.
So
And that's something that this episode's in isolation is doing way better than the previous one. Is that last one does a lot of setup, and so but the world building kind of gets glossed over. It's like, yeah, Thundera, but they exploded, so fuck it. And they're on ships, but, whatever. But this one, they're doing the same thing. They're dropping tantalizing bits, but now they're more forward tantalizing bits, and so like because Mama makes a reference of this is Third Earth. It used to be First Earth, and it's like, what the hell does that mean? And Mama just moves on. It's like, no, go back to that. Explain now. What is going on here? And then, yeah, he just makes a casual thing about it's a cost for him to become Mumra the Ever Living. And we don't know what that is yet. And he never explains. So like it's really building up this interesting world. And I would say world in a larger sense because like most of the cast are aliens in some form to Third Earth. But it's like it's not our Earth. Is it Earth in the future? Is it Earth on a different cycle? What's going on here? And it brings you in to kind of go, I'm curious to know more about how this got here.
Yeah, and then you have to question though how powerful even is Mumra if he could just teleport the three of them to exactly to where Lion is.
Right. This is the downside is like because Mumra is both the main antagonist and also the plot device for a lot of what the mutants do, he has plot relevant magic, which is something we have dinged other fantasy shows for. It's like the magic is pretty much not going to have any rules, much like it did in Silver Rocks. It's like magic does whatever the plot requires of it.
Can make a giant hat to capture bird in space.
Right, exactly. Mumra should wear a giant
The
hat. That'd be awesome.
the total irrelevance right now of Sight Beyond Sight for this episode slapped me in the face. Like the sort of omen goes, "Hey, danger's coming," and Lionel picks it up and it looks. The mutants are going to be here. The mutants are here. Like there's that instant. There's no nothing.
Yeah, they're trying to sell that the Sword of Omen Sight Beyond Sight is going to be a really powerful thing, but so far in the first episodes, Lionel he didn't get a chance to use it. And this episode, you're right. It's like I've told you the thing is going to happen right before the thing happens. So it's like, how great is that? And spoiler for next episode, it doesn't work at all. So, um, Sword of Omen's not looking great so far. Also,
But
turns out when it gets dirty, it doesn't work.
I always thought as a kid that must have been some sort of like super secret pool that Mumra puts there. No, it's like a tar pit on the
Yeah,
planet. That's it.
yeah. And Lano's comment of like, you know, oh no, it's covered in filth. The Eye of Thundera can no longer work. And it's like because of everything else in this episode, my first instinct was maybe this is more world building, but it does have more than a whiff of plot contrivance to it. So I don't know which way it is, but I don't even care, honestly, right? Because like so much of this episode is so cool and compelling, and they're giving, and then again, there's good action bits, there's good world building, there's a general arc which is Lionel thinks he knows better than everybody else. Turns out he doesn't know better than everybody else. He needs his friends to help him out. That's the arc that's happening here. It's a pretty clear, obvious arc. So the episode holds together of itself, but it's also a natural outgrowth of what happened previously.
It is. I'm now. Do you have questions though? Because we get the thunder gets ho, and like the big light comes on, like the bat light, and
Right.
all the Thundercats' eyes glow, and they're immediately moved to help Lion-O, more so than they just normally are. Is that a form of dominance over his servants, Eddie? I ask you, vampire-like power over his minions?
Yeah, like, and I like the ambiguity, honestly, of it, right? Like, I have not watched enough of Thundercats to know. My gut is it's meant to be. The intent is just it's a warning signal, and their eyes flash to go, "Oh, we have seen the warning, and we want to go help Lionel." But you're right. The way it's originally pitched, it's like how much of this supernatural compulsion,
Yeah,
which
because
leads to an interesting parallel between Lionel and Mumra, right?
and I don't know if it was intentional or not, or if that's just how we read it now as people that have watched enough TV and media to be able to pick those things up and start implying additional context to things that wasn't intentioned.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why I was surprised at how much I was enjoying Thundercats by this point because it has aged well, and I fully account that some of it may have been accidental, but it leads to a duality between the characters. Like the mutants are to Mumra what the Thundercats are to Lionel. Um, uh, Both of them transform into more powerful forms in certain circumstances. Both of them have a charismatic sway over the people that they work with. Um, so there's but one is a family, and one is a group of business associates that don't trust each other. Uh, Insert capitalism reference here. So I mean, it's there's a lot that's unsaid in this episode, but I'm with you. It's like I don't know how much of it is just accidental slapped together, inadvertent genius, and how much of it was intentional. Oh no, we want to leave this ambiguous. And I like the fact that I don't know the answer to that. Mm.
And I like the logistics of the Sword of Omens. So he has to do like the ritual to have it extend all the way
Mhm.
out so it becomes a full blown sword. First, a little dagger that goes in like a little claw shield that magically attaches to his waist. Bloop, there's no belt. I don't think there are clothes there. Just bloop. And
Magnets. How do they work?
it's it's reinforced because I was watching it and I saw that when he put it to his waist, a light appeared like it's magically attached. Like
Yeah.
bloop.
Yeah. And like
Fascinating.
again, it's the with some of these cartoons, most of the cartoon I'll be like, okay, that's just because the action figure has it there, and so we don't bother to explain it. But there's just enough detail, just the bits and pieces. It's like Rankin and Bass are going. They may not be going towards a goal, but they're at least implying a larger world and a larger logic. And I love that. Why is it hang there? It's like, well, there's a reason. There's a light there implies that there's a reason, but we're never gonna explain it to you. And it's like, okay, you know what? That's fine.
And even on a rewatch, the animation is still solid. It holds up. It's slightly
Yeah,
dated, but it's holding up really well animation wise.
yeah.
Which
Again, way better than Silverhawk, sadly.
is part of my disparage when I was watching the 2011 series versus this one. Because they changed some of the animation style. They went away from like the muscular He-Man esque
Right.
forms to more realistic sort of people.
Leaner forms, yeah.
Which, having now so much watch the original series, didn't appeal to me when I was watching it then. I'm curious now if I try to rewatch it, if it would strike differently.
Yeah, I'll be curious about that too. Okay, anything else about this episode before we move on?
The fact that Lionel cannot beat Mumra,
Oh
hands
yeah,
down.
yeah. He loses. He straight up loses.
And the only reason that he wins is because he's trying to protect his face from a punch from Mumra. And Mumra is banished by seeing his reflection of himself.
Right. And actually, arguably, although we've not seen this exactly happen, by implication, Lionel cannot take on all three of the mutants. Individually, it seems like he's okay against one of the mutants, but if all three of them ganged up on him, he would be in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's again different from Silverhawks, where it was like there was always at least a couple Silverhawks around, but they could pretty much take on whoever. We saw one episode where they were just literally just carting Monstar around. Um, this like when Mum Ra is powered up, he's a genuine force. It takes all of the Thundercats to deal with Mum Ra.
Yeah. And I liked the fact that even when he was fighting the three mutants, he was more dodging than fighting. And when the rest of the team shows up, it's like, oh, I got this. I got this. But then you
Mhm.
see they quickly dispatch the mutants when they're all there,
Right.
which is something that was inconsistent with Silverhawks.
Right. In Silverhawks, all the antagonists had the power of whatever the plot required, whereas this one, it's like, okay, no. If all of Thundercats and the mutants and Mumra work together, the Thundercats will win. But if those numbers are off by even one person on either side, the dynamic changes.
Yeah. Sometimes in Silverhawks, one Silverhawk can take on multiple people, and sometimes a team of Silverhawks can take on one enemy. It was
Right. hmm
ah,
So each character feels like not only we've talked about, you mentioned before, the Thundercats dynamics with each other, but also now we have the dynamics between the protagonists and antagonists. It feels like there's a nice web of relationships that are happening here. And even at this point, only 2 episodes in, each of the mutants are starting to get a bit more distinctive. Like uh, uh, Slythe is again ostensibly the leader of the mutants, but also much like Mumra, he'd rather not wade in. Whereas Jackaman's like, I'm gonna punch a motherfucker, and Monkeyin is just like, I don't know what's going on, kind of, but I guess I'll go along. And so like we'll see a little bit in the next episodes too. Like the Thundercats have relationships with each individual mutants as well as the mutants as a group.
yeah.
So
Such fun.
because it's like great when you have a small cast and you really dig into that. I love that.
I think that's it. I just wanted to bring up the Mumra bit because that's essential to the fact that he can't beat Mumra at all. And
Right.
it was luck that he managed to do that thing.
Right. Exactly. Which is great. Okay. Season 1, episode 11, The Ghost Warrior. When a centuries-old phantom named Groon the Destroyer is accidentally released from his tomb by British land people, the Thundercats are faced with the challenge of figuring out how to fight a ghost who knows more about them than they do. Then Chintara uses her dangerous psychic powers to find out that Groon is a Thundercat who betrayed his friend Yaga, which is Lionel's mentor, and was banished to Third Earth for his betrayal. So as a result, they call upon Jaga's ghost to help them defeat Groon. And this is where it starts to fall apart a little bit for me.
Really? For me, this is where it starts to make more sense.
Well, okay, let me phrase that. From a mythology standpoint, I like it a lot. From a details standpoint and a structure standpoint, it falls apart a bit for me.
How so?
So let me give a couple examples. From a
Okay.
detail standpoint, when they learn about Groon, and it's like, he was banished. Jaga makes a line of like, he's been banished for 100 mega years. And like, but the last episode we watched, they kept time in galacto years. So it's like, is a mega year different from a galacto year? So
I could come up with like a thing, maybe like the 1 year is for Thundera, the other year is for here. It's a whole.
maybe, right? Maybe galacto years are Thundera time, and this is Third Earth years. Maybe. So maybe that was it. But inside this episode, Groon wakes up and is like, I need to find Thundrillium. And we cut to Panthro talking about how they have massive amount of the Thundrillium banks. And so that's what Groon is drawn towards, is Thundrillium banks in the cat's lair. But then after that confrontation happens, he wants to find Thundranium, which is a different thing, which is also known as fire rocks. And Lionel's like, what's Thundranium? And someone has to explain what Thundranium is. So clearly Thundrillium and Thundranium are different.
Yes.
But Groon wanted Thundrillium and then wanted Thundranium. So the best, giving this episode everything it needs, is that he needed Thundrillium to become manifest enough to be able to physically interact with the world, and then needs Thundranium to actually make weaponry. But why would you call two different elements two extremely similar names in the course of the same episode?
Because everything has to have thunder at the start of it.
Oh my
And
god.
Thundrillium infers it is an oil-like thing that you drill down in the earth to get, so it
Oh
powers
god.
things. And Thundranium is used because it literally drains the power from Thundercats.
This is a stalactite stalagmite thing, isn't it?
Yes, 100%.
God
Come
damn
on.
it.
you forgetting you're going to be like anywhere from 8 probably to 13 watching this, and this makes perfect sense at that age.
I will remark that I was surprised to see that Thundranium, rather than being a throwaway plot device this episode, is something that actually becomes relevant in an extremely later episode we watch later, right? So Thundranium is an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
So like in terms of the world building standpoint, that's why I said from a world building standpoint, I really love it, because even though I find the details a little wonky here, whatever they establish here is still things they build on in future. So it's like, okay, regardless of how we got here, it's here now, and we're gonna build on this. So it's like, that's cool.
And the reason I love this so much is from the lore perspective, that in the second episode, we have Mumra talking about the Sword of Omens. And your question is, how the fuck does Mumra on Third Earth know what the Sword of Omens is? And then you have this episode that lets you know that the Sword of Omens has been here and someone was banished here from the Thundercats. So Mumra should have knowledge of that to know how powerful that item is, to want it, but not knowing what it can or can't do, just that it's powerful.
That's actually a really good point I hadn't thought of, is that at no point does the episode explain that, right? But if you put the pieces together between episodes, it's like, oh, so that's how this thing happens. At no point in time does the Mumra go, Groon told me about the Sword of Omens. No, it doesn't happen. It's just kind of, Mumra goes right into, okay, but seriously, you idiots, get me the fucking Sword of Omens. We've been doing this for 11 episodes now. What the hell?
And I don't know if that's intentional, but that's how I read it as a viewer. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Right. Side note, more Panthro love. Panthro gets angry twice in this episode. One time is when they say that he's not the strongest Thundercat. He gets pissed about that. And then another time is when they question his technical knowledge. And he gets mad about that. Like he is equally mad. Like, I'm also strong and super smart, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise.
He's not wrong. All right, if there was no Panthro here, what would they do?
They'd be all dead. Straight up.
They'd be living in the village with everyone else. They would not have a thunder tank. They wouldn't have like their cat palace. They're living with the villagers, waiting for Mudbra to attack.
Panthro is actually the hero of this whole story. I'm convinced.
That's the story I would tell.
Right.
Okay.
I will say. Oh, go ahead.
It was a hard shift. This is part of the issue with us doing our format like this. A hard shift to go from just them on a planet with no one to having them be integrated enough into the society that people come to them for help. Like that was a hard shift to take. If I hadn't watched the series before, I might be a little bit like, what the fuck? And so I want to bring that up now, since we start with the two British land people is how we start the episode, and them exploring, looking for gold.
Right.
Gold.
Yeah. Which I will say had very strong D&D player character vibes.
Yeah.
It's like you're two level 1 characters going, we're going to go in the tomb and we're going to get gold and we're going to level up. And then they didn't.
You made them level 1? These are 0 level people like in first edition is what they are.
That's true. They have 2 hit points.
That's why they immediately run at every single thing.
I mean, to be fair, like also this episode in particular also had pretty strong just overall D&D-ish vibes, right? Like a good chunk of this was in a good way for me, honestly. It's the here's the adventure, here's the antagonist. You know, you go to the tomb, there's a let the ghost out of the tomb. The ghost wants to fight the other ghost. And you have to go to help the villagers to get the MacGuffin to stop the enemy ghost from defeating the good ghost. Like there's a very a flavor of early 80s D&D about it, which I really liked. I don't think it's intentional, but I think it's kind of just the kinds of things you get from 80s fantasy.
Now I want to know if Rankin and Bass ever played D&D.
I feel like, if nothing else, they were clearly aware of 70s era Tolkien, which was a strong predecessor to D&D. So like even if they didn't play D&D, they were clearly in that wheelhouse of the more cocky and fantasy stuff, you know. So
because we know they're Tolkien fans. That goes without saying.
Right. And there were enough Tolkien fans that they thought in the 70s that a movie about the Hobbit would be cool to do, which was not. It was when that kind of stuff was a bit in decline. So like they were clearly like inspired by that era of fantasy. So I feel like it's not necessarily if they didn't play D&D, which I feel like is at least a good chance they may have, but they're at least drawing from the same well that early D&D was.
Maybe they didn't play D&D, but they played, what was it? Like Chainmail and something? God, what was that fucking war game? God, I don't remember it right now. Too early.
Or maybe Tunnels and Trolls. Yeah. Right. But and also like, you know, Lion-O is still making mistakes, right? He's headstrong and courageous. But this episode, or the show, I should say, continues to occasionally point out that being headstrong and courageous is not universally a good thing. Mm-hmm. Because the Balkans, the land people show up and like, we need help. And he's like, cool. And he starts running out the door and like, you know, and nope, gonna go fight him. And sure enough, goes go fight him. One of the downsides, and I chalked this up to, it's a 22-minute cartoon, so there's so much I can do, is Chitara's psychic powers appear. And she's like, I have these psychic powers, but they're dangerous. And Lion-O's like, okay, don't do that. And she's like, no, I must. And it's like 10 seconds ago, you're like, don't ask me to do this. And Lion-O's like, cool, I won't. And now you're mad about that.
That's showing how much she's willing to sacrifice for her family, Eddie. That is a character moment. That's a beat for Chitara. It
is, but it's so fast, right? Especially because I think for me, partially is because I was so surprised to have Lion-O go, okay, then don't do that. It's going to danger you. Because that's not what I expected from Lion-O as a character, but it was a cool moment for him to say that.
And can he at will just summon Jaga? That's what threw me. It's like, Jaga, come and fight the ghost We must fight one ghost with another ghost.
Right. And that's another thing that, like, I love the fact that, like, they're giant ghosts because reason, and Lionel throws the sword to Jago, who's also a ghost, and it's like, I don't care, it's just cool. But then, like, during that scene where the 2 ghosts are fighting, every Thundercat has to narrate the goddamn fight like they're the announcers at a fucking boxing match. And it goes on for, like, minutes, and it's just like, "Shut up, let me enjoy the fight."
And that's when you get another heroic move from Lionel. Jaga, take my strength.
Right.
To show you that old men can't fight, you need a young man to fight for you. Or their life force.
Right, it again, like, it's a bit ropey, but at least for me, a lot of it was in retrospect or when I was putting a critical hat on, you know? Um, from generally speaking, it was just I was surprised at how much happens in 22 minutes, you know? It's like, this is a pretty full-on fantasy adventure for a short runtime.
Yeah. And they get to show you a good Groon who has two little claw teeth sticking out versus a bad Groon that only has one claw tooth sticking out.
Oh, yeah,
Visual
and that's good.
storytelling.
That's actually a good point, of using common elements that kids would be aware of to sell a thing, because the Groon is supposed to be a saber-toothed tiger, right? And so it's like, kids go, "Oh, I know saber-toothed tiger is supposed to be old, and this guy is also old, so I get what's going on here." It's like, I dig it. It's on the nose, but, like, for what this cartoon's shooting for, it's perfectly fine.
I loved it. It was that lore piece for me was correlating Mumra and this is why I love this episode. I
Yeah.
know it has quibbles, but hands down, loved it for that.
Yeah, again, like, I there are bits and pieces that could have buttoned down a bit better for me, but, um, if you get especially from the lore perspective, it was just like, "No, exactly stuff I was looking for." Episode 2 is like, "Tell me more," and the episode goes, "Cool, here you go." It's like, "Alright." From lore perspective, absolutely. Even from a character arc perspective, really good stuff. Alright, let's move on to episode 1, season 1, episode 58, The Mountain.
Jesus.
Lion takes up mountain climbing because he's bored. But during one of his climbs, the mutants attack him with a Thunderanium gun, which, as we established last episode, weakens Thundercats. Lion-O calls the other Thundercats, but an avalanche traps Panthro, Tigra, Slithe, and Monkeyan in a cave with a limited air supply, forcing them to declare a truce and try to work together, quote unquote, to escape. Meanwhile, after Lion-O rescues Jackalman, the mutant then betrays him and steals a Sword of Omens, but Lion-O manages to get back, and then he saves everyone. So, and again, like, we're 58 episodes here now, and Lion-O is still recognizably Lion-O because the episode explicitly says Lion-O is so bored with fighting the mutants that he has to take up rock climbing to feel a thrill.
Well, we hear that from Mumra, so that's just Mumra insulting mutants.
Right. Well, that's a good point, right? It's that it's both telling us something and also it's a chance for Mumra to talk shit. So you're right. We don't know, is it that Lion-O is so arrogant or not? But the thing is that because of how we established Lion-O, you can't entirely discount it, which I like.
I take it more as the fact that Lion-O is like this super muscular dude, and they don't seem to show weight, so he has to do things to stay physically fit to fight the mutants in
That
Mumra.
probably makes more sense, yeah.
And we also get the great thing, though, that like the claw shield now has some sort of rope function attached to it.
Right, it's grappling hook because reasons.
Super cool. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but super cool.
And I like the fact that Mumra's like, listen, it's been 58 episodes, dudes. You're not. I think I'm done. I think his partnership's at an end. And the mutant's like, no, fuck it. We're gonna get playing together. We're gonna take out Lion-O. We're gonna do this. And Mumra's like, all right, if you say so. And it's so, like, from adult eyes, it's so obvious that Mumra's manipulating the mutants, but it's pretty subtle for cartoons, you know?
The fact that he can teleport them anywhere is astonishing still.
Yeah.
Even to me, episode 58, why doesn't he just teleport them into the Panther's lair when they're all sleeping at night? We'd be done with this whole series.
Right. And this episode kind of walks up to that line because it does something that maybe should have been thought of earlier, but they still address it, which is that A, what if all three of us jump Lion-O by himself? And it's like, that's a decent plan. And B, and this is the part I love, is they intentionally violate the tropes of the show because Lion-O, we only seen a couple of instances of it, but it's very clear that he has stock footage of when he goes Thunder, Thunder, Thundercats, and puts the Eye of Thundera, puts the light up. So he starts doing that, and they shoot him in the middle of his speech. And
they just
then
don't shoot him; they shoot
his
the eye.
light. Right? They shoot the eye, and then when Jackalman later on gets the sword, he starts doing the Thunder, Thunder, Thundercats thing, and it doesn't work for him. But he's making fun of Lion-O while doing it, and it's like, you're making fun of his tropes. How much of an asshole are you?
But he's not doing the thunder thing. He's saying, I thought he was saying like Jackal Man,
right. Well, like a parody of it, yeah. I think it's like Plunder because their group is called they're for Plundar, so it's like Plunder, Jackalman, ho is what he says, and it's like he's making fun of Lion-O, and I'm like, you're such dicks. But I mean, as a kid, could you imagine? It's like going, wait, you can't shoot him while he's doing his transformation. They're just like, no, fuck it, blam. It's like, I love it. It's so good.
If the people that made Sailor Moon had watched this, that could have been a whole new bit in Sailor Moon where they did whenever she tries to transform.
Right, exactly. Because again, in 84 or 85, stock footage is enough of a thing that, you can't interrupt it because it's stock footage. It's previously made footage, so you have to let it run its course because that's how cartoons are made. So it's a meta thing of like, he starts to say it, the actor, to his credit, pitches it exactly like he's about to go through with it, and then he just gets shot. And so there's a great line that's going, thunder. And so like it's the only thing that could have made it even better is if they started to animate it exactly like your stock footage and then have the attack happen. They don't quite do that. Is the only extremely minor quibble I have. But you're right. It's playing with kids' media literacy at this point, which is surprisingly self-aware.
So we say this is season 1, episode 58. I am not 100% sure because I watched this on like Amazon Prime or whatever it was. And for me, this is in season 2.
Okay.
Which I only bring this up to say that even at this point, the Thundercats animation budget does not appear to have decreased. How in Silverhawks, when we got in their later part of their show, their budget definitely decreased. And you could tell by the animation. This still looks as solid and fresh as the first episode did, if not a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I may have to. One thing I have learned as we've done this show is that how different streaming services break up large chunks of episodes where it's unclear where they fall in sometimes gets a little bespoke. As a random example, Transformers Armada was made as 52 episodes, and on streaming it's broken into 3 seasons, but like one season's like 26 episodes and the 2 seasons are just like 13 episodes apiece, and there's no visual distinction between them. It literally, like, a plot line is halfway through when they what season changes, so it's like I don't know sometimes how they break things up, and also because a lot of these were aired out of order, do you follow by the production order? So like it may have been aired as part of season 1, but it was made as part of the season 2 production block. I don't know, but either way, you're right. We're still many episodes into. We're about roughly almost halfway through Thundercats as a whole, and the animation is just as good.
And I don't know how they break it up. My thought for the reason if it's broken up like that was one consistent thing is they're likely selling it for you to purchase, and so instead of selling you one season of like 80 odd episodes at a lower price, they can break that into 2 or 3 seasons at the same price to sell to you.
That makes sense
because it's free right now on Amazon streaming, so it didn't matter to me. I just wanted to know the
sure, but like if you're paying $1 an episode, it's like I'm not going to spend $65 for season 1, but I might spend $30 for season 1 if it's only 30 episodes or whatever. So yeah,
and that's how they get you. Right. Well, they wouldn't even be $30. It'd be like $35. There'd be a profit factor in there.
Of course,
so it's like,
of course, right?
Capitalism.
So that's
I know that you, as a non-American, don't understand capitalism.
It's true. It's true.
As an American, Just
Because I live
saying.
in a socialist dystopia, right? We don't even use money anymore. We just trade crumpets and beignets.
Oh, I thought the actual currency, Eddie, were VHS tapes of Doctor Who, of like early Doctor Who that you would trade out with each other in a barter system. Um,
Yeah, I'll give you 2 Peter Davison episodes for 1 Blake 7. You know,
yeah. Or I'll give you 8 Colin Bakers for 1 Red Dwarf. I said it. I did
and
it.
not even season 1 Red Dwarf. It's like season 6.
Because as I mentioned, I'm watching the Amazon Prime, and they showed the Vengeance of Varos the other day, or they're live TV where they're showing off just shows and showing all the shows,
Yeah,
and it is still bad. I popped in for like 10 minutes, like I can't watch it.
it is the best of that run. It's not it's good.
Fucking Vengeance of Varos. Thundercats and mutants teaming up, hilarious,
Yes.
hilarious. They should be, we'll let them do all the heavy lifting, and then we'll take them out.
Right, and I love it because, like, it's the mutants are acting exactly where and then Tiger brings up the very obvious point of, like, "If you don't help us, we're all gonna die." And Slide is, like, debating it, you know? So, "Well, but work." Even Jackalman, he has the sword. He has defeated Lionel. He starts using the sword to kind of claw at the rocks. He's like, this is too much like hard work. It's just like, I don't want my friends die because I don't want to be asked to actually do the job." And it's wonderful. But then also, like, again, the only thing Panther gets really mad about is when Monkeyan starts spouting some anti-scientific bullshit. Monkeyan's like, that won't take up the oxygen. And Panther's like, shut up. This is how science works. It's like, yes. Fuck you. I'm going to move these rocks myself because you anti-scientific bullshit. Fuck you, Monkeyan. And it's just like, Panther is so angry. I love it.
The underrated hero of the show.
He is.
How can the Sword of Omens shoot a massive laser, Eddie, like a Death Star?
And how can that laser be shot by Thunderanium?
No, it's a Death Star sized beam that shoots out to get rid of the debris to free them.
Oh, for destroying the
How?
rock. Because magic.
It's not a laser cannon, Eddie. It's a sword.
It's also, I would point out, it was in its dagger form, not in its full Sword of Omens form either.
This is my least favorite episode out of the ones we
Really?
watched.
Oh
Yes.
man, because like I just got endless fun of Jackalman being such a dick while carrying a sword around.
No, it was. I felt this episode compared to the other ones.
I will say the thing that really annoyed me is because we've fallen into the structure of the last act is some kind of recap for the moral of the story. And so the last act of this is Lion-O straight up lying to Snarf and getting away with it because it was inconvenient to tell Snarf the actual truth. And it's like, lie to your parents, kid.
But that had a great comic beat where both Panther and Tiger go, we got work to do. Pew!
Right. And it's like, where'd they go? Well, they went to go look at a cave. And it's like, you could like see Lion-O's story crumbling in front of them, but like they cut to the end of the episode before it goes. So it's like, and again, I just love the fact Lion-O's just bad at lying. He's like, I don't know. I'm the protagonist. I don't know how to do this shit. I don't know how to lie.
Because he's a 13-year-old kid.
Right. But again, like to our point, like Jackalman takes advantage of a couple situations. So Lion-O like defeats Jackalman, then Jackalman takes advantage of Lion-O's generosity twice in the episode to defeat Lion-O. But he does get the advantage of Lion-O twice by himself in his episode.
Yeah. Because these characters actually have essentially character sheets that they operate off of, and they're operating within the confines of those character sheets, which is astonishing to do in a cartoon in like 85 and be consistent with it. And they primarily are consistent.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean,
love it so much.
The magic aside, you're right. This is the most gameable of all the shows we've watched. You can see like how everything works. Like you can almost halfway see, okay, Lion-O's got a magic sword. It apparently has a ranged attack, and his sheath also acts as a grappling hook. Um, Chitara has, she moves really fast and has psychic powers. It seems to be primarily precognition. Um,
That
with
drains her. So there's like a cost to
right,
pay for it.
she loses health points for using her psychic powers. Panthro has all of the skills because he's min maxed his skills.
But he has no superpower. He's just
He's just
across the board good.
Right. Weirdly, of the 4 episodes, Wily Cat and Wily Kid are the characters that got the least read on. They seem to be kind of like tricksters, which is cool, but I just didn't see much of them in these 4 episodes.
I'd almost say they're like gadgeteers because they have like little smoke bombs and things like that they use.
Oh yeah, maybe.
And Tiger superpowers, Tiger can literally turn invisible. And Tiger has super speed. He does. In the initial attack on the ship in the first episode, Tiger disappears.
Oh, right.
It then attacks.
Attack, yeah. That's right. He does ninja attack, yeah.
And Panther has no superpowers. Everyone else has superpowers, but Panther's just awesome.
Right. Panther's superpower is being the secret protagonist of this entire show. That is a superpower. And also tired of your bullshit.
I would say then the Lion-O, if you go D&D, Lion-O's like essentially a ranger and Snarf is his animal companion.
Which is funny because like Snarf probably thinks Lion-O's his animal companion, but that's not actually how the stat works out. Final thoughts. Final thoughts about Thundercats.
I loved it. I loved it when I first saw it. I love it now as an adult. It is a consistently great show. Out of the ones we've seen so far, it is top of my list. I would watch a couple more episodes of this if I had free time.
Yeah, honestly, same boat. Like I was surprised. I thought I will like this well enough. There's got to be something good here, but maybe it won't be in my top list. But it's the one that I enjoyed just watching the most, top to bottom. Every episode had a couple things I could grumble about, but each of them was enjoying to watch. And I'm genuinely pleased to see that all those characters were both growing, but also very recognizable themselves, even 58 episodes in.
Yeah, because their growth was incremental, which meant you could actually evolve and tell a story with them as you continue to watch it, which is something that a lot of shows aren't necessarily good at. They'll start a character, we'll say at level 1, but then they instantly shoot them up to level 15 by the second or third episode. And then they have nowhere to go after that. Then they're just consistent or they decrease.
Right. And you joked about it, but like, Lion-O now can use his sheath to grapple and has a laser beam from his sword, but it's like, you can believe that he earned those somehow over the course of 58 episodes. It didn't feel as plot convenient, even though they may have been. For all we know, they may have been just complete powers that came up for the course of the episode, but the show done enough work that it makes you feel like, I'll just assume he earned those.
I think we saw him shoot a laser beam once somewhere else along the way.
Maybe.
But like that Death Star sized beam essentially would have been like a daily power, or he's been a hero point to essentially do that thing. So it's a finite resource because he doesn't do it all the time.
Exactly. Once per session.
Big gameable TV show, and I love it. Go figure.
Awesome. All right. So what are we going to talk about next time then, Chris?
Next time we're going to talk about... Oh, no, we're not.
No, God.
We're going to talk about Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. We're going to go season 1, episode 1, then episode 2, episode 10, and episode 11. And there's going to be a joke in there, because I've already watched these, that Eddie doesn't know about. So, Eddie.
Secret jokes.
Yeah. It's a big one. It's a big one. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, though.
All right, look forward to that. Where can I find you online to ask you about visionary masks?
Well, if you want to come talk to me about mask, you can do that at dark underscore hue on Blue Sky. You come into the Dark Hue Discord. If you want to support me and give me money to make Eddie do more genreless and other bad shows, because I got a movie I want to do that he doesn't want to do, you can do that at Harlem Unbounding, my Patreon. What about you?
If you want to talk to me about masks, you can find me at my account tbob.sucks. Or you can find me at pugstudy.com, which is both my website and where you can find me on Blue Sky. And with that, I will see you next time with Visionaries.